Hey everyone, it's me, Andy.
And I'm Sean.
And this is the Commander's Brew.
This week, feed the pack.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching right here on YouTube. It's the Commander's Brew, and if you're liking what we're doing here on the channel, if you're liking the deck techs, if you're liking Battle of the Brews, go ahead and hit subscribe. It really helps us out. Leaving a comment, that's also a little something you can do as well. If you want to go sort of the extra mile and help out directly, you can go to our Patreon, patreon.com/commandersbrew, and you can help donate there to make the show directly and get involved in our Discord, which is where we're getting help to brew these decks, and some of our patrons are actually in our Discord suggesting cards, and we're all getting in there brewing together, and it's a great time and it's a blast. So yeah, check us out, patreon.com/commandersbrew. But without further ado, we are going to talk about today's deck tech, which is Karador Feeds the Pack. This is fun. So like I mentioned before there, Patreon, we're getting in there in the Discord and we're brewing decks. And this one came along because I had an idea that I wanted to do. I wanted to do like a Garruk-based deck with a lot of wolf token creatures. Those were the two angles I was hoping to like kind of mix together, mash together, because thematically they go well together with the Throne of Eldraine Garruk that kind of just came out. And there's a lot of great cards that make wolf tokens. Well, once we started sort of, I had this like big list, and then I went to the Discord. And once we started chatting about some other cards in there, our boy Jamon gets in there, and he's like, I've always wanted to brew a deck around Feed the Pack. This is a card that I've always been interested in. So like, let's, is there a way we can use this? And I was like, you know what? Me too. This is like I got this card when we first started playing Magic, and I was like, this card's really cool. I remember like putting it in original brews of like graveyard style decks and stuff like that. And it is really neat, and I've always wanted to build it. So then I kind of switched focus a little bit. So it's a little bit more about Feed the Pack, but it still has like it has a couple of Garriks in there because they make nice sense thematically and synergistically, and of course wolf tokens are still involved as well because that's so it all kind of came together. But we are focusing a little more on Feed the Pack. So let me read Feed the Pack to you right here. It's a green enchantment. It's 5 and a green, and it says at the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice a non-token creature. If you do, put X 2/2 green wolf creature tokens onto the battlefield, where X is the sacrificed creature's toughness. So yeah, this is really cool, man. So you sacrifice a 5 powered creature. Sorry, a 5 toughness creature, and you will get 5 2/2. So you're kind of essentially doubling that power toughness that you're going to see. Obviously, most of the time you're looking at the same power toughness, but if you're not, if you're getting something with a much higher toughness, let's say, you're going to be getting a lot of wolves. So that's the kind of angle we're looking at for this. So we've got a lot of it's a heavily creature based deck. We've also got some graveyard synergies and stuff. But yeah, let's commander wise also, I just want to mention I wanted to do Abzan at first, and I think that the best commander for the job is just a great commander in Karador, Ghost Chieftain. Sean, you can read Karador here.
Sure. Karador, Ghost Chieftain, 5 Abzans, so 8 total, but you're not going to pay 8 because Karador is a Ghost Chief, legendary Centaur Spirit, 3/4, and costs 1 less for each creature card in your graveyard. There's always a few creatures in the graveyard, so the first time you're probably paying like 5, 6, and that also helps with attack. So like it's very common to never pay more than 3 for Karador.
Yeah.
During each of your turns, you may cast 1 creature card from your graveyard. Man, I mean, if we're sacking something to Feed the Pack, I'm going to cast the pack again next turn. No worries.
No worries. I love this. This is pretty sleek and simple design here. Even without the mana reduction, just being able to cast something on your turn from your graveyard is pretty sweet. And yeah, like Sean said, you're really hardly ever paying more than 3 for this guy. Maybe the only time is when you first get him out, because it kind of helps the engine get going. But knowing that, seeing that our boy Karador's in here, we got Feed the Pack, we're looking at some graveyard stuff. Let's start talking about these neat moves.
Working on a neat
moves. Okay, so first up, I think it was another big suggestion from our boy Jamon. We got to get that Feed the Pack, right? So obviously, a really good card that was just reprinted is Idyllic Tutor. The price is still low enough on Idyllic Tutor that we're going to be including it now. So go get your Idyllic Tutors if you want them. Go grab them right now because the price is right for them. Idyllic Tutor is, of course, 2 and a white for sorcery. Search your library for an enchantment. Reveal it, put it in your hand. Shuffle your library. Awesome card. Very good. Normally pretty expensive, but this reprint is helping it out a ton.
Big time.
Yeah, and I will say this, though. Obviously, Idyllic Tutor is really great because we do want our Feed the Pack as soon as we can get it. But we're running black in this deck, so black is the tutor color. So, I mean, we're also just running Diabolic Tutor. 2 black for the sorcery. That's just search your library for a card, put in your hand. Like premium on the Idyllic Tutor is a little bit lessened in this deck just because there are several other black tutors that we can include. They're going to be not nearly as mana efficient, and they're going to be a little harder to cast most of the time. Like a Diabolic here, for example, is 2 black pips. But in general, like we can like if you didn't have an Idyllic Tutor, it's not the end of the world. Just use some tutors. But you know, I just like it because it's available right now, and it's a great card to have.
It's great.
So talking about Feed the Pack, we know we need some big creatures in here to sacrifice. So Sean, why don't we start talking about a couple of these guys?
Yeah. I think you might have found the best cost to toughness ratio there is. We've got Wall of Shards, 1 and a white for a snow creature wall. It's 1/8. It's got defender and flying. That's an amazing wall. It'll stop a lot of stuff. But unfortunately, it's got cumulative upkeep. An opponent gains 1 life. So the way cumulative works, like that cost goes up every turn. Costs 1 the first turn, 2 the next turn, 3 the following turn. So as your upkeeps go by, this costs more and more and more. But guess what? Feed the Pack, sack it, put it in the graveyard, get 8 wolves, cast it next turn if we got Karador out, and we just always are going up by 8 wolves if that's our game plan at the moment.
This is a really good card. It's got flying, which is crazy. Walls barely ever have the flying. And the cumulative upkeep, I did look this up. It does work this way where the reminder text here is at the beginning of your upkeep, put an age counter on this permanent, then sacrifice it unless you pay its upkeep cost for each age counter on it. So actually what you're allowed to do is like if you get like 4 age counters on here, let's just say, which rarely you will have to deal with this, but you can actually split the life among each of your opponents. You don't have to make someone gain 4 life. It's because you're paying it, which is an opponent gains 1 life for each age counter. You technically are doing a trigger 4 times, like a different one for each time. So yeah, I mean, minor thing, but just you know, nice to know.
Yeah, interesting.
This next one's really good.
Ooh, I love it. Tree of Perdition, 3 and a black plant. It's a 0/13 defender. Tap, exchange target opponent's life total with Tree of Perdition's toughness. Tree of Perdition has got 13 toughness. If we want to sack that to feed the pack, that's great. That's 13 wolves. Or if an opponent has a ton of life, we can trade for the life total and sack it for 36 wolves. I don't know what's their life total at 28 wolves. That's a lot of
some
wolves.
Ridiculous number. Who knows, right? Yeah, like even if this is just like 20 or something, you're still very happy to do something like this. So,
jeez, I'm happy at 13.
Yeah, no, you are. And honestly, like I didn't even think about the switching of the life total thing until just now. Like this is in there because this is 0/13. It's really good. We also have the other one. We have the green one in here, which it does a very similar thing. So yeah, these are just big butts that you're going to turn into wolves. Hopefully, it really simple stuff.
Butts into wolves.
We also have other guys who are also quite big when it comes to their butts, but not just their butts. Lord of Extinction is a cool one. This one was a suggestion from the Discord. Brain Toad with a cool one here. So Lord of Extinction is like was like a very expensive card when I started playing Magic. It climbed up. It kept getting more and more expensive as Commander got more expensive. But this reprint in Ultimate Masters has really dropped the price down. So this is now a much more accessible card for us budget players. 3 black green. It's an elemental creature. It has Star, and Lord of Extinction's power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in all graveyards. So you don't have to do too much work to make this be a reasonable sized body for this mana cost. Like, again, like, even if this is like a 6/6 or a 7/7, like, that's not, you don't even really have to get your, like, your graveyard engine going before this guy is a reasonable size. And of course, if you do like one dredge or something, and this guy's going to be massive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
and that's not even if other players are doing their own graveyard shenanigans.
Exactly. Because it's all graveyard. So this one's a really great include. We also have Howling Giant, which is a nice little value piece here. 5 green, which is 7. It's a lot, but it's a 5/5 with reach. And when Howling Giant enters the battlefield, create 2/2 green wolf creature tokens. So already this guy comes with 2 extra wolves. And if you pay the 7, you'll get to sack this 5/5 to get 5 more wolves. So getting just 7 wolves in total is pretty sweet. For that 7 mana, not bad at all. And then we also have Woodfall Primus, which is a great one, working with Feed the Pack. 5 green. Treefolk Shaman, 6/6, has trample. When it enters the battlefield, you get to destroy target non-creature permanent. Pretty sweet.
Acidic Slime.
Yeah, and actually better than Acidic Slime, I think. Acidic Slime can't hit planeswalkers, right? Because I think it's like artifact, creature, or land.
I never noticed.
I think. I might be wrong. Anyways, it also has Persist, which is so good. So you play out your Woodfall Primus, you destroy a non-creature permanent, you sack it to the Feed the Pack, and then bam, it's right back again, and you get to hit another non-creature permanent. Pretty sweet. And then, of course, you can even sack it again if you want, and then recast it with Karador, and then the Persist things are just absolutely wild. Yeah, there was a suggestion at one point to, like, in the Discord, which is definitely a good suggestion of, like, including something with, like, +1 counters to, like, offset the Persist and, like, make so our guys keep being able to be sacrificed. It's like, actually, with Karador as our commander, you just don't really need that, like, because we can just recast them from the graveyard. It's not even something we needed to include.
Ooh. There's another powerhouse in this deck in
Yes.
Kessig Cagebreakers. 4 and a green for a human rogue. Starts off as a 3/4. But whenever Kessig Cagebreakers attacks, you get to create wolf tokens that are tapped and attacking, and you get 1 for each creature in your graveyard. Kind of like a pre-undergrowth kind of thing. So if you get to attack with it, it attacks alongside a bunch of wolves.
Yeah.
And again, right? Like wolves galore. Maybe we got these wolves coming out. We were getting like 13 wolves from the tree. There's a lot of wolves coming around, but this card can do even more. So how are some ways we're going to fill the deck? I know you got Altar of Dementia in here, 2 for an artifact where you get to sack a creature. Target player, probably us, puts a number of cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power from the top of the library into the graveyard. That's an amazing way to get a bunch of creatures into the deck. It's fairly reasonable to just be like, you know what? I got a Kessig Cagebreakers. I'm about to attack, but before I do, I'm feeling good. I'm going to sack 10 wolf tokens, put 20 cards in my graveyard, and probably get more than 10 wolf tokens back attacking. So like it's a net even, but now all my undergrowth is fueled so much more. I've also got Golgari Grave Troll working the dredge for me. Starts as so you're going to pay 4 and a green for a 0/0 skeleton troll, but it enters with +1/+1 counters for each creature card in your graveyard. And I keep forgetting about this one. Pay 1, remove a +1/+1 counter, regenerate it. That's amazing. Yeah, when you've got a 17/17, like, and you can regenerate it, like, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
but hey, dredge 6. You just got to get this in the graveyard once, and now you're like, sure, man. Every time I draw a card, I want 6 more in the graveyard. Yes, please.
Yeah.
And another great use of these wolf tokens. I think this is a brilliant include. Undercity Informer, 2 and a black, human rogue 2/3. And you pay 1, sack a creature, target player, probably us, reveals cards from the top of his or her library until he or she reveals a land card, then puts those cards into his or her graveyard. So you kind of mill until you hit a land. Sometimes we call it grind, but that hasn't caught on as strong as milling has.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, how many lands? How many lands do you want to hit? How many wolves you got? How much mana you got? Tons.
Yeah, this guy's really great because this the deck is loaded with creatures. So like, if it's not a land, it's probably a creature. So
Yeah.
you'll be able to get a lot of creatures into the graveyard this way. And even if you do the unfortunate thing where like, oh, first card's a land, bam, I paid 1 and sacrificed something to mill 1, that stinks. This deck is built so that you can, like Sean, you were saying, like, sacrifice a bunch of wolves to do this.
Yeah.
Don't worry, you're gonna get them back. You know, like, it's just
Yes.
gonna compound and become better and better. So it's fully worth
Yeah.
doing that. Another cool one that's in the same vein is Nyx Weaver. We haven't talked about this card in a long time, but this is a staple of Commander's Brew graveyard decks.
Yeah.
We love this card here, and it's an all-star in this deck, actually. So 1 black green for the enchantment creature. It's a spider. It's a 2/3 with reach. At the beginning of your upkeep, put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. So that's just nice for getting our graveyard filled up. But here's the key thing about it. 1 black green, exile Nyx Weaver, return target card from your graveyard to your hand. So what we can do with Nyx Weaver, and what happens a lot of times, is that you'll mill Nyx Weaver just with a bunch, whatever it is you're doing. You dumped a bunch of cards in your graveyard. Nyx Weaver's in there. But also, like, maybe your Feed the Pack is in there. Or some other cool, like, enchantment, or even like a sorcery or something like that. Well, what you do is you just cast Nyx Weaver out of your graveyard with Karador, which is also going to be pretty cheap because, again, like I was talking about, we just milled a bunch of stuff. Cast the Nyx Weaver, then use its exile ability where you exile it, and then you get that key card back. So whether it is your Feed the Pack or anything else that you want. Sometimes you'll get the Idyllic Tutor because you don't have your Feed the Pack yet. Use Nyx Weaver to do that. So, and whether you cast it from your hand or if you mill it, you can do these things. So Nyx Weaver is really, really great. Nice little card here for getting stuff like that out of your graveyard. And this card is like a gumball?
It is a gumball.
It is a gumball. Like, this is an underrated card. For
I
sure.
think because it does everything. Like, it mills and it gets something back that you have milled.
Yep, exactly. And you're happy to let it sit out there and do the milling and stuff. So it's great.
Yeah.
Okay, next we have just some other cool big stuff, but some wolf synergy. So we got some stuff. We do have some things that care about wolves in here. One of them being Nightpack Ambusher. 2 green for a 4/4 wolf. It's got flash. Other wolves and werewolves you control get +1/+1. So it's just nice to make our tokens a little bit bigger for when we want to get in there with that final swing or whatever. So this is just a nice flash. Like, your opponent won't see that extra whatever, amount of damage coming. But also at the beginning of your end step, if you didn't cast a spell this turn, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. So, like, in Commander, I do think it is pretty unlikely, and this deck especially, like I said, it's heavily on creatures. It is fairly unlikely that you won't cast anything during your turn. And even if you didn't, you get 1/2/2 wolf, which is actually a 3/3 wolf because of his ability. So, like, it's not worth not doing anything. Like, just do stuff still, you know what I mean? Because really, we're in here for the flash, we're in here for the +1/+1, and then if you get a wolf out of them, it's lucky. Next we have Briar Elemental. This is just a staple of these types of decks. 2 green for the 4/4 Elemental with multi-kicker for green. And when it enters the battlefield, you create a 2/2 green wolf creature for each time it was kicked. So you get a bunch of wolves just straight up out of this Briar Elemental, and leaves behind this 4/4 body, which you can sacrifice, which is pretty sweet, to our Feed the Pack. And then finally, we have Lyn Voice of the Pack. 4 green for the Planeswalker, 7 loyalty. She has the static ability of each creature you control that's a wolf or werewolf enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. And -2, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. Nice synergy there. Just works really well. And these little, like, extra, like, getting extra counters on things or buffing our team by +1/+1, they do actually end up mattering because you just make so many wolves that it's a real issue.
I love the turn where you play Arlen and then on your end step sack something with a boatload of toughness and just get, like, tons of 3/3 wolves.
Yeah.
And then you're holding Nightpack Ambusher so that you're about to flash turn them into 4/4s.
Like, a 3/3 wolf and a 2/2 wolf doesn't sound like a big difference, but it's a pretty significant difference. A 2/2 versus a 3/3, even in Commander, is like, well, it's just much harder to deal with. It's just much harder to block and stuff like that. So
Yeah, well, if you're letting 5 in,
yeah,
It is one per, but like the difference between 10 and 15 feels
It
significant.
does feel different. I know. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk for a second about.
Oh, there's that one last wolf there. You got this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wolfear Silverheart. This is the Soul Bond Wolf. So it's 3 green for a 4/4. But the way Soul Bond works is, as long as it's there, you can pair it with any creature that comes into the battlefield, or if it comes into the battlefield. And as long as it's paired, you can't repair it. But as soon as that pair is broken, if you get a new wolf that pops in, you can pair it again. So it's always looking to be paired up with someone, and whoever it's paired up with, they each get +4/+4. So this thing is almost always an 8/8, and you can make a token that starts as a 2/2, turn it into a 6/6, send it in. If it dies, cool. I'll pair it with another wolf I'm going to get in 2 seconds. Or no problem. If you don't want to block my 6/6, take 6. That's fine too.
This was an ad from Dinesh in our Discord. I love the move of Wolfear Silverheart coming in, bonding with a non-token creature, like maybe that Wolf Briar Elemental is just hanging around. It's just a 4/4. Well, you pop this guy in. Now you have 2 8/8s, so maybe you're just swinging with the 8/8 for just some big damage. And then you sack it. And then the next creature you play, probably on the next turn, now it's going to get a +4/+4 buff, you know? So, like, you just keep buffing the non-token creatures that you're playing from your hand or from your graveyard.
Oh, the ones you're playing in a sack, that's not bad.
That's pretty sweet. This next one's not a wolf, but it looks like a wolf. And it has a name like a wolf. Night Howler. It's 1 black for the enchantment creature. It's a horror. It has bestow for 2 black, and let me tell you, you're going to want to bestow this guy because the ability that he has is Night Howler and the enchanted creature each get +X/+X, where X is the number of creature cards in all graveyards. So as an enchantment, when you bestow it, it's just going to be giving +X/+X to whatever creature it's on, where X is the number of creature cards in all graveyards. Very important to remember that. So it's just going to be this huge buff. You're going to swing, you're going to get in, or maybe you're not, whatever. you're just going to swing anyways. And then you're going to sacrifice it to feed the pack. And then it's just going to sit there as a big creature because that's the way the bestow works, right? It now becomes a creature. So now a Night Howler just itself is sitting there as like a 10/10, whatever. And then you sacrifice it on the next turn. And then guess what? Karador, you can replay it for its bestow cost from the graveyard if you want. So it's just a nasty cycle you get going here.
Well, and I have to point out the interaction between this and Altar of Dementia, because if your Night Howler can get big enough, you can if your Night Howler is in the 30s, which is not unheard of, you can point to another opponent who has a heavy creature deck and be like, okay, I'm going to sack this bestowed 30/30 to mill you for 30. Now your graveyard's probably got another bunch of creatures in it. Now the next Night Howler is probably 40 or 50 that you could mill someone. Like you can get a bam bam mill.
Milled. That's true. The mill a person to death possibility is fairly real depending on the combination of cards you're getting here.
The sneakiest thing is, because that's all Altar Dementia, like if an opponent's not thinking about it, it is, I've never done this, but it would I can only imagine how great it feels if someone casts a draw spell and in response you mill them out so their own draw triggers their death.
That's the dream.
That's the dream.
Yeah, like they do like a big recurring insight or something. Oh, I get to draw 15 cards. Like,
response.
Yeah. That stuff would all have to be on the battlefield, so they would be able to see that coming. But at any rate, yeah,
they would. But sometimes,
sometimes you don't think about it. You're right.
Yeah, if you've got 70 cards left,
yeah,
that's not possible. But it is possible.
It is possible. It is technically possible. So finally here we have a list of the other aspect that I haven't touched on yet that I mentioned before, which is the Garrix. And these guys, like I said, they have some nice synergies. So Sean, why don't you take these guys?
Garrick Cursed Huntsman from Eldraine. This is the newest one, the return. 4 black-green with 5 loyalty. For 0, you get to make a 2/2 black and green wolf token. 2 of them. You get to make 2/2/2 black and green wolves with special text that says, when this creature dies, put a loyalty counter on each Garrick you control. So it's the only way this Garrick can gain loyalty. Or you can -3 to destroy target creature and draw a card. That's always useful. It's always nice to have that. Or -6, you get a permanent emblem that cannot be interacted with that says, creatures you control get +3/+3 and have trample. So now, like, all your wolves are 5/5 tramplers at the base. So, and this Garrick is one away from doing that. Right? So, like, we can cast it, make some wolves, and we know we're going to lose those wolves maybe to our feed the pack, or we'll sack them to something else. So, like, your opponents must deal with it on the turn you play it, or you're going to get a forever overrun.
Yeah, the forever overrun is a very big, very big deal for this deck. Obviously, it's gonna be good.
We got Garrick Relentless. This is the flip one. 3 and a green, starts with 3, and it flips when it has 2 or fewer loyalty counters on him. You transform him, and it's got 2 zeros on the front. First 0, 3 damage to a creature, and then that creature deals damage to Garrick. It's kind of like a fight, but they can't say fight because Garrick isn't a creature.
Yeah, exactly.
Or another 0, put a 2/2 green wolf creature token. I love it. And if you get this Garrick flipped, +1 makes a little wolf, a 1/1 black wolf creature token, but it has death touch. Or you can -1 to sack a creature, and if you do, search your library for a creature, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. That one's very powerful.
Yeah.
But you've probably lost some loyalty to get here, so like you might not be able to do it right away. And then -3, you get a sort of temporary overrun. You get trample and +X/+X, where X is your undergrowth, how many creature cards in your graveyard. So it's a temporary one, but it can be a very big one, a very big one.
True, yeah.
Garrick Wildspeaker, the classic. 2 green for 3 loyalty, +1, untap 2 target lands. So you've basically gone down 2 mana to get this planeswalker out. -1, put a 3/3 green beast creature token onto the battlefield. Not a wolf, you're not allowed to do this one. -4, regular overrun until end of turn. +3/+3 and trample.
Yeah, and like the first Garrick you mentioned, this guy is only 1 away from this overrun. So these overrun abilities, these obviously making creature tokens, these are all right in line with what we're looking to do with this deck. And yeah, like we said, man, the trample, the like overrun trample abilities on all 3 of these Garricks are. The middle one is the Garrick Relentless one is the toughest one to get to, because you need to down him, you need to hit him with something, and then you need to flip him, and then you need to build it up as well as building down.
Yeah.
That's definitely the toughest one. But these 2, like especially the Eldraine one, Garrick Curse Huntsman, like you can get that permanent overrun emblem, which is the best one, on the next turn if you can protect your Garrick. And it's like they can't attack you with ground creatures that obviously don't have evasion, because like you just block with one of those wolves. You know, like they gotta have a flyer or whatever. So I like the planeswalkers, I like the Garricks in this deck because we can protect them pretty well. A lot of our creatures are walls that have flying. A bunch of our, like, we have some spiders, because spiders have big butts and spiders have reach. So we actually do have a fair amount of flying defense in this deck. So if you can get it set up, these Garricks can end the game.
I like it
very quickly.
I like it a lot. Were there any surprises and discoveries?
There was one. It was a discovery. And look, I'm not saying you should put this card in the deck. I included it because I thought it was a neat little card and I wanted to highlight it. But it's not like amazing or anything. But hear me out here, okay? It's a card called Seed Time, which is already just a fun name. It's I think it's from Judgment. Is that what that's from? 1 and a green.
Every Friday, 4 p.m., baby.
Always. Seed Time, baby. 1 and a green instant. You can so it's an instant. Cast this spell only during your turn. Okay. Take an extra turn after this one if an opponent cast a blue spell this turn. So the idea is like someone has obviously countered a spell that you've played or something, and then you get to kind of get back at them by taking an extra turn. it's wild because this is a green card, and taking extra turns is not necessarily a green thing. Obviously,
No, it is not.
but the restrictions on this are very heavy. Again, I'm not saying this is some widely playable card that you should include in a bunch of decks or something like that. But I thought it was interesting here because, okay, yeah, we can only cast it during our turn. Yeah, someone has to play blue. So obviously if no one's playing blue, we're in trouble. But if this occurs, if this arises where someone decides to like end of turn or something, or whatever it is they do, if they decide to just play this blue spell where we can now play Seed Time, you can feed the pack, take something, sack it, get a bunch of 2/2s, and say, bam, Seed Time, and then it's your turn again with all your wolves being able to attack. Like, I get it. It's a little bit Magical Christmas Land, but it's kind of cool at the same time. You got to admit.
No one will see it coming.
No one will see this coming. The real killer bummer is that it just, you really need people playing blue. And you really want the person, what is it? To your
right.
To your right.
No, to your left. You want the person to your left.
Yeah, you want the person to
your
your
left. Because they're
left.
going to cast spells on your end step.
Exactly.
If they've got mana. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's when you can spring out of Seed Time. So, again, if someone's sitting to your left playing blue, it's not unreasonable that they would play a blue spell on your end step, and then you pop out of Seed Time.
Well, and also, like, what if the person to your left is playing blue, but the person directly to your left is not? Then you just got to go hard on them for wolves and turn your Seed Time to give it a better chance.
So
right?
if you get Seed Time in your hand, you know who you're attacking. You're attacking anyone to your left between you and a blue player.
yeah, that's it. Get them out.
It's just a weird little card, so you know.
I like it.
Yeah, it's something. If you're in a meta where there's a lot of counter spells, this card gets better and better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it for the Surprise and Discovery. So yeah, we had a lot of help from the Discord. I already mentioned Brain Toad. Max Volume brought out a really cool little card, which I'm going to talk about in a sec, and Dinesh with Wolfir. But we had a ton, like all the Brandon. I was in there. Our boy Mondo. Just a bunch of people. We have so many people in there now. It's really becoming a real fun time. So thanks again to everyone in there who threw out some truly cool card ideas. But we talked about our Discord helpers, which means it is time for the budget report.
Beep, 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 beep. This is where we take all of the cards and we sack them to feed the pack. And if the pack is satisfied, great. If not, we want our money back.
Yeah. So this deck turned out to be around 114, like 120-ish on TCG, like the median / market or whatever is around that era. So like it's it's not super cheap, but it's not crazy expensive. The low is around $62, so if you like the beat up version, you're going to be able to get some good stuff here. The most expensive card in the deck is Karador. And I want to say this, I included this. We usually don't mention the commander if they're like the most expensive card or something like that.
Right.
Because we're here brewing around this commander, no big deal. Hopefully maybe you have one in your collection, whatever. But in this case, actually, I think it's very possible if you want to cut cost to actually switch Karador out for a Golgari commander. Something like this doesn't have to be an Abzan deck. Karador just works so well with the graveyard, obviously, if you have one or, whatever, it's great to use. But, Sean, you mentioned before we recorded that Jared Golgari Lichlord would be an awesome choice for this.
I think he would.
Yeah, for this deck. And you're absolutely right. It's the 2 black, 2 green, 2/2 zombie elf. It gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard. You can pay 1 green black. Sack a creature. Each opponent loses life equal to the sacrificed creature's power. So it really works well with these big creatures that we have. You might want to, tweak whether, and you would have to tweak because the walls that we have in the deck are mostly white actually. So you just lose those naturally anyways.
Yeah, but I mean, even though like it's so we were talking. There's a couple between what's its name? The Lord of Extinction and Night Howler, like these are creatures that get up into the 20s or 30s. So like that's what Jared's waiting for to just like, yeah, great. Once I get one of those out, you're dead.
And Jared costs nothing. So And even there's probably a couple other great Golgari commanders that would work really well with this, right? Is Azomi would probably be cool. Izomi, is that her name? Yeah. So
tons
like
of insects.
a lot of cool stuff you can do here. It doesn't necessarily need to be Karador, which is like, I guess, how expensive?
$10.
Yeah, like around $10. So
I mean, you could also get the oversized one for $2.
That's
and
true.
Just commit to never shuffling it in.
Karador also is like a bit of a lightning rod, like a bit of a hate card. Like some groups still are big on to hate out a Karador deck, which is fair because it is a very efficient and very what's it called, a resilient commander, and it's going to make your deck very resilient. It's one of the reasons I included him. But like again, if you want to dodge some of that hate, you can switch him out and still have a pretty solid commander there.
Yeah.
Second most expensive card is Tree of Perdish.
Tree of Perdish.
Sean, how much is this one again? I think it's like $7 or $8, right?
Yeah, Tree of Perdition is like almost $8.
Yeah. So I mean, we talked about it. Very, very strong, very, very strong synergies in this this deck, but you know, it's not 100% necessary, especially if you decide to switch the commander out. And finally, Garrick Wildspeaker, in and around $6-7 usually. Is the third most expensive card, and you know, I love the synergy, but again, if you're looking to cut costs, you can easily lose a Garruk. It's not a big deal. Replace them with something that makes wolves, because there's lots of stuff out there that I didn't include.
Sure.
Yeah, so I mean, you can cut $30 out of this deck, and I think you're still gonna have a very, at its core, still the exactly what you want to be doing with this deck. So
yeah, man, Golgari decks can be strong and cheap because there's so much redundancy. Like, so many decks require unique pieces that haven't been printed many times, and those pieces are always the cost of the deck, and you can't cut them. But like, Golgari has 101 ways of getting stuff in the graveyard, bringing stuff out of the graveyard, and making them huge. Like,
and it's
so
like
no problem.
Like you said, there's a lot of like, yeah, I don't want to spend, you know, the $8 on this card. Guess what? I guarantee you, there's a 50-cent version of it that just might, like, instead of dredge 6, it's dredge 4, you know, or dredge 5.
Oh,
or
sure,
like that, right?
sure, man. Stinkweed
Imp, exactly. But let's talk about our favorite cards. I'm going to talk about the one that Max Volume told us about in the Discord. It's Alpha Status. It's 2 and a green. It's an aura, and it says enchanted creature gets +2/+2 for each other creature on the battlefield that shares a creature type with it. So this one is a nice synergy payoff for all of our wolves. And don't do what I did in testing, which is putting this on a creature that's not a wolf, thinking that it would care about the wolves for some reason. Put this on a wolf. Just throw it on a token, and it gets real big. Or, you know, put on your Wolfigure Silverheart or one of those guys you have.
And
it's
like, that's with the intention of sacking it to a feed the pack. Like, you're gonna get so many more wolves.
Absolutely. Yep. You sack this, and then you get even more. It's really great.
Yeah. I love it.
What about you? What's your favorite?
So I'm gonna go with Spark Reaper. 2 and a black for a 2/3 from War of the Spark. This is an underplayed zombie in my opinion. 3 mana, sacrifice a creature or planeswalker, gain a life, and draw a card. Cards like Greed, those kinds of cards like Erebos, where you like sack a creature, pay some life, drawing cards, like, they can be very expensive, but the cutoff is 2. This is 1 more mana, no color, so like, you're just paying 3, so you can have all your green open. Sack a creature, planeswalker, gain a life, and draw a card. That's a very useful mana sink in a deck where we're generating gobs of tokens. Like, that's a great way to use a little extra mana at the end of a turn.
Yeah, and I mean, not to mention, if you got a Garruk coming around that you know is going to be attacked and just killed, like, before
Sacks planeswalkers. That's rare too. Yeah.
Yeah, like before they hit, or, you know, because maybe they didn't even see that you can just sack it, like, you know, get some value from it. And the thing is, yeah, that's the thing. Like, they'll force you to do it. It's like, well, that's fine. I'll draw a card from it. No problem.
Yeah.
It's a minor upside.
Will be blanked.
It's a minor upside, but it's there. It's real.
I like it.
Yep, I like it a lot too. This was a fun one. This was cool.
Cool deck.
You know, it's like it's a well worked theme. You know, the graveyard and sacrificing creatures, and it's not something we've never seen before, obviously. But I do like. It's why I like Feed the Pack so much. It just put that little bit of an extra different spin on this kind of tried and true archetype. You know, we're not just sacking for value. We're sacking to get specifically as many wolf tokens as we can find and then work with them that way. So I like that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Me too. Nice deck. I love it. Thanks, Discord.
Yeah, thanks, Discord. They really did send this one in a direction which I was like, in the back of my mind, was like, yes, of course, I also want to do this. So it was really great. Great meeting of the minds. Thanks so much, everyone, for listening. This was a really fun one again this week. If you, again, like what you're seeing, you know, hit subscribe if you're on YouTube. Get us that 5-star review if you're listening to the audio show. Go to iTunes and do that. I haven't asked for that one in a while. That's a lot of help too. And remember, if you're in Canada, wizardtower.com is where you want to be. Use our coupon code Brew Beyond Death right now. And if you are in the United States or elsewhere and you want to help out the show, again, use our coupon code for TCGplayer and we'll get a little bit of a kickback on that. And that actually does, that's a free way, if you're going to buy the cards anyways, to just, you know, help out the show. So
you mean our click-through link?
Sorry, what did I say? I
think you said coupon code.
Did not mean to say coupon code, meant to say like affiliate link. So, and that link, you can find it in it's under the YouTube video in the right up there, or it's in the audio show notes or on our website. So check that out, guys. Thanks so much again for listening and watching. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. If you love what we're doing, consider supporting the show by going to patreon.com/commandersbrew.
And if you want to get any of the cards from our deck list, go to our TCGplayer affiliate link below.
That helps us out too. And for a free way to help us out, consider sharing the show with some friends. Like and subscribe, add a comment or two.
See you later.
Bye.